G'day YouTube, Jujubear here. Welcome back. Total War Tuesdays, you know what day it is, you know what time it is. So we're going to be jumping back into a series of 3 matches. They are small funds, and my enemy here, or my opponent here, is Bobi. Now you may have seen him on a couple of videos, including Aerith Carthage, Wolf Total War. He plays in a couple of clan battles as well. Bobi's a very good player. He's a fair bit better than I am at this game, but we were playing in my territory. He doesn't really tend to play too many small funds battles, and he let me know that at the start of the match, so I'm kind of not really expecting him to win anything or, you know, pummel me into the dirt, so to say. So even though he's a better player, he's not used to small funds. Let's just put it like that. So you can see my army. I brought Egypt, my favorite, and I've got 2 Egyptian slingers up the front, 2 Egyptian infantry, 2 Galatian swordsmen in the center, very cost-effective infantry there. And bringing up the rear, I've got 2 carrying axemen. Now on my flanks, I've got Levi spears, very cheap units. They can throw these javelins. They're basically like the Thorea spears on steroids. Very, very, very cheap units. Good to kind of throw some spears into an engagement that's already happening. I'm probably going to use these camel spearmen to tie down his cavalry while I throw some spears into it. So that's the thinking behind this army is, you know, he's brought Suebi, so I'm gonna have to like try and get rid of his charge. So that's why I brought these Egyptian infantry, just as bit of a charge bait, just to absorb some javelins to hold up and stop the enemy charges, while I can throw some javelins in of my own using my Galatian swordsmen and carrying axemen. So there's going to be a lot of javelins and a lot of damage potential from my side here. Now my opponent here, Bobi's brought a couple of these blood swan. It looks like we can see 3 that are visible so far. He's got 2 dramatic slingers, very good missile block chance on those guys. He has got a Woden's spear, very tanky, high attack spear unit. So I'm going to have to be careful of that. And 3 dramatic scout riders, and bringing up the rear as a hex bearer. So it looks like he may be attempting to scare me off the field using a bit of a chain route method. So I can see he's pulling a couple of his dramatic scout riders around there, so I'm going to pull out a couple of my own units. And what I'm trying to do here is claim the top of the hill here. So my opponent has just popped, what is it, fast charge, yeah. So with fast charge on, he's going to have some extremely vicious charge bonuses on a lot of his units, but that doesn't really matter because I'm going to be throwing my Egyptian infantry in anyway. So we'll just catch some of the action straight from the start. We have got the uphill advantage, so I am pulling away. We managed to bait a couple of volleys off from his blood swan there. So they are going to absolutely wreck my Egyptian infantry, and that's totally what I expect. I do not expect anything else. And straight after that, I'm going to throw my Galatian swordsman in. Over on this flank over here, I've managed to tie down some of his camel spearmen. Sorry, he's a blood swan with my own camel spearmen. And I'm going to keep on throwing my Thorea spears. So I've got a couple of units at the moment just pouring fire in on his scout rider. So he's going to have to pull back from that engagement. Over on this side, I'm bringing my camel spearmen around, just trying to flank and get into his skirmishes there, because there's no way my own Egyptian slingers are going to be able to stand up to him. My camel spearmen are running amok, just kind of using their mass to be thrown around and knocking some other units down. So you can see at the moment, with the combined effort of the Galatian swordsmen and the Egyptian infantry, we were able to hold them up and kind of turn the tide. But not before his blood swan getting, you know, 160 kills, 143 over there. So they are getting an insane amount of kills. I managed to get into his Germanic slingers with my own camel spearmen there. He is going to chase me off with his Woden's spears. These guys do have cavalry counter tactics, so they can have some extremely punishing attack versus cavalry if they want to. So I've got my Egyptian slingers pouring fire into units that are pulling away from the battle, just to make sure that they don't come back from routing. And I've still got a couple of carrying axemen in the rears, just waiting for an opportunity to strike. So you can see my plans worked. I've blocked his charge, and I've stopped it successfully, and I'm able to kind of bring a couple of my other units that haven't even entered battle in at this point. So he's going to throw his Germanic scout riders in and get a nice charge on my Galatian swordsman there. That was probably a very good decision. But I am just like pouring the the skirmisher fire on his units here. And a couple of them are going to rout. Man, this is a really good picturesque shot here. But yeah, you can see them getting ripped apart there. Those scout riders are not going to be able to hold up. At this point, I've got my camel spearmen just trying to mop up this last blood swan that was on the field. We'll see how that goes. We have engaged with my Thorea spears against this Wodenaz spear. He's popped Pride, which will give him armor-piercing damage. So this unit, yeah, you can see it's up to 42 weapon damage, and most of that is armor-piercing as well. So any armor that I throw at him will probably not be as useful. I'm going to get a nice flank charge into him. And at this point, I've got a couple of my slingers who were pouring fire into that fight. But I'm going to pull my carrying axemen around here and just throw some javelins in. He does have a Germanic slinger here, and even this Germanic slinger by itself, firing uphill into my Egyptian slingers, could probably do a fairly good job here. Just because of their massive shields. If you can see how big those shields are, it gives them a huge missile block chance. But they are getting absolutely peppered by my own Egyptian slings here. It looks like he is firing into Galatian swordsmen possibly, or I'm not really sure actually. But I'm gonna force him back and make him lose that fight. My camel spearmen didn't manage to rout this blood swan over here. So Bobi is an excellent player. He doesn't give up. A couple of matches I played against him, I kind of thought that I was going to win the match, and it was a little bit naive because I ended up losing them. So he is an excellent player, and I think that is the mark of an excellent player. You know, they don't give up and they actually keep on going, and they actually manage half the time to turn the battle around a little bit. So he's done a really great job with his Wodenaz spears. They're tired, they're losing slightly, and we managed to get a rear charge in on them with my carrying axemen. Good armor piercing on those guys. So at this point it's GG. So that's game 1. 1 to Jujubear, 0 to Bobi. Let's load up the next one here. Just trying to fly through them a little bit because some of the battles are a little bit longer than others. This is Battle at Anthea. I am playing as Massilia, and he's picked the Roxolani. I've picked the kind of... I don't really know if... I think Massilia was a pretty good counter to Roxolani just because of these fucking MLG Freemen. They have so many javelins and their spear units, so they're going to have a bonus versus cavalry. Or do they? Yeah, of course they do. Bonus versus large, 25, which is huge. Massive. So those guys are going to be pretty instrumental in this battle. If you stretch them out into you know, 1 or 2 ranks deep, they can absorb fire. They're very, very cheap, so the enemy will kind of feel bad about wasting ammo on them, but really these guys are more dangerous than they look. The rules for these battles are, you know, max 3 of the same unit, so I could only take 3 of these Levy Freemen without breaking my own rules here. The rest of my army is made up of, I've got 2 Celtic warriors there. And I'm pretty sure I have 1 axe warrior bringing up the rear. Now, I wasn't really sure about this unit. I don't know if it would be so useful. I probably should have brought something else rather than an axe warrior, because we're not going to be coming up against much infantry. There is going to be a fair bit of armor on the field, which is where their armor-piercing damage could come in handy, but not heaps. So you're going to see us kind of size each other up and get some shots off into each other. So I got 2 of these Celtic slingers. Now these guys are okay, 150 range. Slinger units are going to have better armor piercing damage than most archer units. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. A couple of these units are light melee cav, so not heaps useful. Anyway, my center is going to be composed of, well, I say, yeah, my center is literally just 1 Massilian hoplite, and then I've got 2 of these Massilian cavalry. Very good anti-cav units. 15 bonus versus large. I think I made a mistake in putting my general into a Massilian cav unit, just because he's going to be an easy target to take out. If he was in a Massilian hoplite, it would be a different story. He'd be a little bit safer. So my enemy's army here is composed of 3 Amazonian riders, so he's reached his cap in terms of those units there. He's got 2 of these Sarmatian riders. Now, I believe these guys have the Draco ability, which is weird to put such an amazing ability on such a cheap, crappy unit. Not that they're crappy, actually. They're okay. They're not bad. So they're going to have Draco. Draco, if he drops it, will get rid of my bracing bonus, and he'll be able to knock down quite a few of my units. He's got 2 of these step armored lancers, a Summation Royal Lancer, and he's got a step horse archer over on that flank there. So plenty of skirmishing power To be honest, he could have just brought one of these Sarmatian riders. I'm actually getting some really good shots off into his Sarmatian rider with my slingers. They have taken some... No, they haven't taken any losses just yet. But yeah, you can see these guys have half decent... oh no, only 15 armor, so not so good. But those shields are going to be quite good for their missile block chance. So we're getting some shots into their rear. A couple of them are dropping, but we have done a fair bit of health point damage at this point. So what I'm doing is just kind of staggering my lines a bit. I've got a line of Levy Freeman, Celtic Warriors, Slingers. So there will be, eventually, if I do get charged, I'll want to stack up a couple of different lines of units with javelins, so that while one is being engaged, the others can throw their javelins. Because the javelins are going to be the only way that I'll be able to deal with the threat of his horsemen. So at this point I get a little bit overextended and I'm going to have to pull back a little bit. I don't mind him wasting his ammo on those cheaper units. At this point I can kind of see what he's doing, so I'm going to try and get close enough for a jab volley there. He is going to charge into me and I'm going to get a nice javelin toss just at the last second. So you can see he did pop Draco just then. And I've pulled my Massilian Cav into the fight just to tie down his Sarmatian riders. So that if he pulls away, at least I'll get even more kills with my Massilian Cavalry, because they are quite light. I do get a counter charge into his Sarmatian riders with my Massilian Cav General. Now this was a mistake. I don't think this was a very good decision at all to do this. And he does charge into my skirmishers with one of his Amazonian riders. Now they're going to get absolutely peppered with javelins here. So, but he did manage to do quite a bit of damage to my Celtic Slinger there, so really good job from my opponent, just making me pay for a couple of lackluster mistakes. So I'm going to chase off a lot of his units with my Massilian Cavalry. So they are getting quite a few kills, 50 kills at this point. And my Celtic Warriors killed 24. Amazonian Riders managed to get rid of a lot of my Slingers there, but he is still held up in this battle, and I'm going to throw my Massilian Hoplites into this little engagement. They are going to... With Draco popped, they don't have their bonus versus large either. So that means they're even more... that kind of just makes this this ability Draco even more powerful. But we are managing to get rid of one of his Sarmatian riders, so that'll kind of limit the amount of... Ooh, I didn't get a counter charge here. That's horrible. Actually, I don't think he really got a charge either. I don't know what he was aiming for there. So good charge into my Massilian Cav. I'm down to 29 men, but I'm going to throw my own Axe Warriors into this little engagement. And then I've got my Levy Freeman coming into support. I'm going to close the door in on his units here with my other Massilian Cav. And we're going to try and pull down a couple of his Sarmatian Royal Lancers. I did manage to... Oh, I don't know what happened there. He used Intimidate on my General's unit, which is a very good decision. So I couldn't use any General's abilities. And my General was taken off the field there. So that was actually a pretty good engagement for my opponent there. He lost a couple of these Sarmatian Royal Lancers pulling out there. You can see they're dropping like flies to my Massilian Cavalry probably. And he is getting some pretty good hits in with his Step Armored Lancers. Though it is on my Massilian Hoplites, these guys are very tough. Good melee defense, very good stats in general. We actually managed to hold up these Sarmatian Royal Lancers with my Massilian Cav, so these guys have been instrumental in this fight, but we are taking a fair bit of fire from that Step Horse Archer over on that flank. So his repeated charges are taking... Ooh, just missed a bit of action there. Levy Freeman going up against a Horse Archer. And I think I managed to get a Jav Toss. Yep, there we go. And we shredded a couple of these Step Armored Lancers. Though they did absolutely bowl us over. So we're going to pull ourselves up, pull up our socks and get back into the fight. We managed to destroy this Horse Archer over here. And this Step Armored Lancer is wavering with 15 men left. They are winded because they are very heavy, or heavy shot cavalry. So up in the back there you can see my Massilian Cavalry. It's actually going to end up coming back from the fight, which is nice. I've got my my Levy Freeman. I put them into some short ranks, and I made sure I could get off another volley of precursors, and you can see it was worth it because we were able to get the Step Armored Lancer off the field well and truly. So these Levy Freemen absolutely paying for themselves. You can see I could get them into a fairly deep ranks there with one of my other Levy Freemen, but he does manage to get quite a few kills on the charge there, and I'm going to throw my other Levy Freeman into this fight. So we do have his Sarmatian Royal Lancer held down pretty well, but with the combined efforts of a couple of his Amazonian Riders and his general, he's going to be able to pull down my last Levy Freeman. So all the while, I'm pouring some skirmisher fire into this fight, getting a few kills where I can. At this point, I'm going to pull up a couple of Celtic warriors and chase them off. So my javelins have been instrumental in this fight, but at this point, my opponent was thinking, yeah, you know what, it's a little bit too late. I mean, this Summation Royal Lancer, 210 kills, being absolutely instrumental in this fight, doing a really great job. Even his Amazonian rider is doing an excellent job, so he's utilized those units very well. Over 100 kills on both of those units there. My Celtic warriors doing okay, 49, 34. My skirmish is actually not doing too well, 17 and 60 kills there. He does get a flaming shot off, which is very clever of him. So that should be able to rout them even quicker at that point. My Levy Freemen are shaken. They haven't gotten too many kills over there, but I think they've got a fair few javelins left. So I was trying to do this kind of thing, just charge in with a couple of my javelin wielding units and get a volley off before he just gets out of range there. No, he doesn't. Actually, he takes a volley of javelins to the rear. So a little bit of a micro mistake on his part. My axe warriors are at pretty much full strength. They must have a few javelins left on them. And it's at this point I consolidate and bring all my forces back into my own little circle. I think the name of the game at this point is just to be patient, really. Playing as the Nomad factions or playing against them as well, you just have to be patient. I was able to kind of keep my foothold on the match and get some good kills. He does get a very good charge in here with his Summation Royal Lancer, and all the while he's getting some very good rear shots with his Amazonian rider, so using them to their full extent very well, but we managed to get some really nice javelin volleys in there. And I'm going to turn about, and wow, he's absolutely flattening a couple of my units there. Wow, what the hell? Oh no, I thought that was that guy's arm. Turns out it was another unit there. But he's throwing the archer fire into this little throng of units. So we managed to finish off his general there, and I'm getting some pretty good shots in with my Celtic slingers. I'm really surprised that this kind of thing didn't happen more during the match. My opponent was very good with his micro, so he was able to keep an eye on what I was doing. But it was only right at the end here that I was able to start getting rid of a couple of his horse archer units. So we kind of neutralized the threat of most of his melee cav. Actually, they're pretty much all off the field at this point. So he's just got a couple of these Amazonian rider and a steppe horse archer here. As for kills, 180 here and 38 there. So they've actually been well worth bringing into this fight here. My Celtic slingers here, getting a few good kills. Again, they're getting good shots into the rear of this Amazonian rider. These guys are very, are they very light? No, just light missile cavalry. So any shots that we get into them will be well worth it. So my opponent, again, this is a mark of a good player. He doesn't give up. He tries to turn it around any way that he can. I'm sure that he's going to try and go after my slingers at this point. So I'm going to try and just keep them right in the center. And I've got my Massilian cav just trying to keep them out of range of the steppe horse archers. But you can see he's trying to get some shots onto them if he can. So he's kind of just maneuvering at this point. I'm going to turn around and face him, just because the enemy units are light, if not very light. So I don't really care about the charge too much. I just want to make sure I can hold them down with one unit of infantry and then throw my Massilian cavalry in. So that was game 2 for Jujubear. Bobi's still waiting for a win. At this point, he was getting kind of annoyed at the small fun. So I was like, yeah, okay, man, we'll just finish off this match and then jump into the next one. I was trying to do something a little bit cheeky here. The map has a bit of a tilt to it, as in like a mountain. Now, the only way you can hide elephants is by putting them behind a hill. You know, you can't really just put them inside a jungle and have them disappear off the face of the map. So what I'm trying to do here is I have an Indian armored elephant and 2 Baktria light horse. My thinking here was to be able to get my light horse into his skirmishes, destroy them, kind of cause a bit of a kerfuffle, and then I'm going to throw my elephants in and defeat his infantry and cavalry and all that kind of stuff. And all the while I'm going to have this Indian waller elephant kind of stalking around here, because I didn't think there was going to be line of sight down here, but there totally is. So he can see exactly what I'm doing. So already my plan has kind of failed. Probably not the right map to be doing this kind of thing. So my opponent here has got 1, 2, 3 veteran riders. There's a unit there that's just... So it's a sword band. 1, 2, 3 sword band. He's got probably 3 levy freemen. Yep, there we go. And Britain skirmisher. So yeah, so at this point, let's just put it on forward. I'm just trying to... I know that these freemen have javelins, so I'm just trying to get into them and hold them up so they can't throw their javelins. But already like one volley and I've kind of lost control. The opponent's general unit is his chariots. Now they can be very useful if used correctly, but he's just going to pull back and throw some javelins into this engagement while he can. So my elephants are kind of being pulled down. Down on this corner of the map, I have lost control of these Indian war elephants because I did get a very good javelin volley off with this sword band. Yeah, so I'm going to turn about and try and just get amongst these units and kind of pull down as many as I can. These Indian armored elephants are super heavy, I think, which is like the highest... Yeah, super heavy elephant. It's like the highest weight category that you can possibly get. Stats on these guys is ridiculous. Like, racking up 199 kills, 200. Still going, 230, 260, 270. Now, both of us were standing there and we're like, man, when am I going to get an XP chevron on this, guys? I still haven't got one. His chariots managed to get one. Still haven't got 350, 360 kills. Still haven't got an XP chevron. We've just managed to wreck 3 of those units there. My Indian elephants over on that corner just got trounced. So he's still pouring fire in here with his Britain skirmishers. We managed to kill off another levy freeman. Oh, it came back. So, how many kills? 414. And I still haven't got an XP chevron. I think it may be because they're out of control. So, it doesn't really count for some reason or something. I don't know what the thinking is behind that. But, yeah, so out of control. I'm not going to be able to control them. They're just kind of doing their own thing at this point. And at this point, it's GG. I had one elephant left. So, a little bit of a... Yeah, a bit of a funny last round there. So Bobby won that last one. Anyway, I want to say thanks, Bobby, for the game. We did do well. It is a totally different type of game to play, these small funds matches. So I'm always appreciative of people jumping in and giving it a go, especially for these Total War Tuesdays. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe if you did, and leave us a comment if you think I should be doing something else. So I'll see you guys in the next battle. Bye bye.